let's move across to the next big boy, or should I say big sky, shall we?
Let's move up to the sky.
Let's move up to the sky. This is here. If I bring this up here so we can see up on here, we have a brand new plugin from Strymon. Now, Strymon, kings of plugins, you might say. That might be putting them on
pedals, not plugins.
Sorry, yes, pedals. Yeah, completely. Yeah. They've just brought out a plugin version of the Big Sky. Now, I know I've got a Big Sky. Sunwarper, you've got a Big Sky, right?
Yep.
And Ian, like, do you have one in the? Probably got one in the studio.
No, but about the time that I'm looking for a hardware one, they decided to bring out a plugin.
Yeah, I have mixed feelings on this one, and I'm a huge proponent of the Big Sky as a pedal.
Why don't you lead it somewhere?
Well, I believe the cost is $200.
It is $200.
And
yeah.
I think the Big Sky as a pedal is $400, which is quite expensive, but it's worth it for what it does as a pedal. It's got some great amp sims. Yeah, it does all of that. I guess it's the exact same thing, which is awesome. But for $200, I mean, there's free alternatives that we always talk about that I haven't even touched my Big Sky in over a year because of said alternative that's free and a plugin. So I think 200 misses the mark quite drastically, and I'm sure there's reason for it and stuff, but it just doesn't seem right.
I'm sure it's quality software as well.
Oh yeah,
every faith in them, and I'm sure their algorithm kicks ass as well. But
yeah, the pedal's incredible. I mean, and this is that on your computer, which is awesome. But I have some concerns.
I've ranted about in the past about. I like software. I love the total recall, the fact that you can bring everything back the way it was. It really helps when you're trying to mix an album or track, or do your last overdubs and whatever. You can just bounce between songs and so on. But it really bothers me that I'm tied to software and a certain OS version and a certain this and a certain that. And at some point, it's going to become obsolete. Or since Sunwarper mentioned the awesome Alchemy synth, I used to have Alchemy until they were bought by Apple, and then all of a sudden all their stuff stopped.
Yeah.
You know, a load of good plugins that, all right, you could use them for a bit, but as your OS starts to get upgraded, they become obsolete. You can't use them anymore. And so that's why I started going a little bit more down the hardware route, so that you've got a thing that you could still have in 20 years or something, and it still works and so on. And I think the more things have computers in them, and we start to be reliant on certain operating systems and drivers and things like that, it just means that your money ultimately has got a shelf life, and then you've got to buy something else, or you've got to upgrade, or you've got to do this, and they're not always compatible. Some bits of kit may need you to upgrade, other bits of kit can't upgrade anymore. They don't do any more drum kit drivers for my drum kit, so I can't go beyond a certain level with that. Otherwise, I'll lose compatibility with that. So, yeah, there comes a point where I keep a split between software and hardware, because there's benefits to both that we will all understand. But it does worry me a bit that that's why I liked the Big Muff idea, the fact that it's a plug-in, but it's hardware, right? And if all goes wrong and that all this stuff stops being supported and doesn't work anymore, you've still got a pedal, right?
Yeah.
That works, This is what concerns me. I want my stuff to work forever and ever. Yeah. Never need to be serviced.
Good luck with that. In the subscription world we live in today, yeah, good luck.
You know what I mean, though.
Oh, yeah. And Curtis, what's your take on this as a Big Sky owner?
Well, in a similar fashion, again with the price, $200. I mean, if I'm going to spend $200 on something, I'm going to buy a synthesizer VST as opposed to an effects VST. Especially when we've got the beauties of the plugins that we shall not name. Duper
passive?
Exactly.
It rhymes with it, yeah.
It does, yeah. And I as ever with me as well, I wonder about CPU. These high-end, these high-end plugins are, they always eat a lot of CPU. And if you're on a laptop, or if you're on a budget laptop or something like that, or a budget computer or an old computer, it's just, I suppose it's just going to eat you up, and you put it on one effects chain and suddenly you can't do anything else.
I wonder if there's any communication between the pedal and the plugin in a similar vein to the Big Muff that Leon Lake was talking about. I didn't see anything, and I don't think there is. There may come a time, because I believe the Big Sky has MIDI and USB, does it not?
It does, yeah. It does, yeah. So that, I mean, that would be an interesting way to kind of see if it can talk. Like you can recant or if you keyed in a tone on your hardware, if you could then emulate that in VST or vice versa.
Yeah,
that would be a really interesting thing to do. I'd like to see that.
Pedal as a controller for the VST.
Yeah, and then you can save those things that you made on the computer into because you can save patches on the Big Sky, so it'd be cool to have that crossover. I would hope. I mean, that was the other thing. There's no that I've seen discount for people who own a Big Sky to get the pedal. And I would hope, I mean, if they do start doing communication between the two or something, or if there already is, but I didn't see anything about it, I would hope that they do something to that effect. I mean, that would be a very pro-consumer friendly move, but we'll see.
We'd like to see where it goes out. We'd like to know what you guys in the chat think about this kind of thing. We all know about what's the phrase? We also know how the greatness of Strymon is. Is this going to be emulated in the VST version? Is it something that you'd spend $200 on? Let us know.
Yeah, I have a feeling we'll see their other pedals being released in this format too, if it goes well.
I feel that we'll get that way.
I'd like to know what people think about, how much money do you want to be spending on plugins and instruments versus effects? Obviously, Curtis has got a bias there, and I think I'm with him on that one, really. Everyone feel that way? I mean, I'd rather have an instrument that creates a lot of different sounds, especially if it's sample based or something, compared to a reverb. I mean, a good reverb goes a long way, and but I do have a couple already, sort of thing. So,
I mean, it is also a case of, I know that it is a case in our world, but the more you spend, generally speaking, the higher the quality. In generally speaking, like for example, I know that Laug uses it. He posted a screenshot on his Facebook the other day. I know that he uses it, and I mean, he makes a very lush ambient. So it might be a case of it's one of those where you buy the plugin and suddenly you're an ambient king. You know what I mean? Like,
you don't need that one for that though.
True. But just maybe. But again, $200 is a hell of a price tag for VST. You can buy, if I'm not mistaken, I mean, you can buy a few entry-level Spitfire VSTs for that and make yourself an orchestral beauty. Hey, so if you like that clip, consider going across to YouTube, Spotify, or Apple Music to check the full Audionautic Deep Space Network live stream.
Yeah, and if you want to join us for the next live stream, they are on Wednesdays at 7 p.m. UTC.
And finally, we do have the Audionautic Radio playlist, which is in the description below. Some of the greatest cross-section of the underground electronic world that you see. IDM, ambient, down-tempo, you name it, it's in there. It's great. Curated by Sunwarper.
Yeah, so if you're looking to find some new music or just see what's new in the electronic sphere, head to that link in the description, and we hope to see you at the next Audionautic Deep Space Network.
Thanks for watching. See you around.